Well, if you know these three gals are going to be here, they're the smiliest gals in Kossuth County. I mean, they'd smile if they hit their hand with a hammer. You know, so they're wonderful people, and they're healthcare helpers and workers. So, have any of you seen the commercial on TV of? I mentioned this to Joanne. This little boy, he's wearing a what do they call it? A doctor's smock or what are the coats? What's that called?
A lab coat?
Scrub. Doctor's scrub. He's on there and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, all we got to do is follow these simple rules, like wear masks, and he's got all his animals.
Oh, yes.
He's got a mask on him, and he says, and you know, the healthcare workers are human beings. All we have to do is thank them. Here she comes.
I was left out.
Oh,
I was too, actually.
were you?
Oh, I think we're guys to fit, but I might be though, so appreciate that.
So, he says, we just have to thank the healthcare workers. So what do? Thank you, healthcare workers. Let's give them a applause. Okay. Today, we have Lindsay Millis, who is in charge of Director of Community Health and Hospice. Anything else? Public Health. She's the one that's got all the answers. Dr. Rachel Van Tiger. You all probably know her. And Joanne Bodie. I mentioned Joanne's name to someone and she says, oh, she's the one with all the vegetables, isn't she?
I'm a multitasker, Dan.
Multitasker, that's great. Well, they're going to just take a few minutes and kind of update us where we're at in Kossuth County. Because I turn the television on and I see about New York, and I see about New York, and I see about California. What about Kossuth County? Where in the heck are we? And then we'll turn it into questions and answers. Now, spread around the room, on the piano, on the table, on some of these little tables, there's pens and paper. If you have a question, write it down, put it in the box, I'll present it to them, and they'll do their best to answer it for you, and we can leave here a better informed community. The high school, Van Gorpen, she is taping it, and it will be played on what channel?
Channel 4.
Channel 4. When will that be played? Do you know?
Probably next week, or
Okay. Lindsay, or not Lindsay, Hallie is Facebooking live right now, so people can be watching it live right now. And the radio station will have excerpts from it on the news tonight. So, let's begin. Who's going first?
I'll go first.
Dr. Rachel Van Tiger. Let's get ready.
This is a great turnout. Thank you. We're all 6 feet apart,
We're 6
which is
feet
why
apart,
she's
so
taking her mask.
I'm going to take
Yeah.
my mask off because I think everyone will be able to hear me better. This is a great turnout. I'm pleased that you're all here to.
Turn it up a little, Hallie.
It's as far as it'll go.
All right, I can talk louder. Is that better?
There.
Okay, very good. I'm pleased that you are all here to learn more about where we're at in terms of the COVID situation in Kossuth County, and also to hopefully learn more about your next steps to combat this illness in terms of the vaccine. So I received my first vaccine the week after Christmas, and I actually go for my next vaccine in about an hour. So I'm so excited to be on this path to hopefully put this behind us and get life back to whatever normal is. I think it's been a while. We're not sure what that is, but be able to see people's smiling faces and just get back to the things that we want to be able to do. So right now, across Iowa, one of the most important things that I have been watching from the beginning of this is what hospitalization rates are doing is because that is really the biggest resource that we are concerned about. We can talk about the number of people who have been diagnosed with COVID, and that sometimes can be startling, but the bigger issue is how many of those people are actually needing to be in the hospital, taking up a bed that might otherwise be needed for someone else who is needing surgery or needing attention for a heart attack or some other issue. So from that perspective, currently things are looking much better than they were a month or even 2 months ago. That doesn't mean that we can let up on the things that we are currently doing. We still need to be wearing our masks, we still need to be social distancing and washing our hands. But we know that those measures that we're doing are effective. Even once I have the vaccine and know that it is working, or trust that it's working, I'm still going to have to wear my mask and still have to wash my hands until we have better data within the community. So, Lindsay, what would you like to add to that?
And here's her.
Yeah, I can talk about the vaccination process.
We will
if
move
feel like
on
we're-
and talk about the vaccination process because I think that is what most of you are wondering about the next.
Who wants to
steps.
hear about the vaccine?
So, what we will do, I'm gonna let Lindsay talk about kind of the logistics part of that, and then I am here to answer like the medical questions that you might have about receiving the vaccine, side effects, who can get it, who can't get it, those kinds of things. But I'm gonna let Lindsay talk with you about how you actually go about getting your vaccine. So I'm gonna turn the microphone over.
Hello.
So, can you guys hear me?
So to start the vaccine process, actually the number got released today. I don't know if any of you have already heard from our public health hotline, but the phone number for that was 295-4450. And so if you do call that, it gives you the phone number that will open up tomorrow, the call center. And that's going to be open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. tomorrow. And so when you do that, you'll call and you'll register. There's going to be people there to help you make your appointment. And they'll also be booking the second appointment too. Take your information. They're going to get your consents all ready to go. After you get your appointment scheduled, that'll be either next Wednesday or Saturday, which is February 3rd and the 6th. So after you get that scheduled, you'll have everything ready to go. When you come, you'll just have to bring your driver's license to show proof of your age, because right now we are in Tier 1A or 1BA. So that's going to be people over 65. That's going to be our preschool through 12 teachers, firefighters, EMS, child care workers. So those are the people we're doing right now. So we're going to book those next Wednesday and Saturday.
One question that came up is, what if you don't have an active driver's license? Can you address that? That came up today. Do they need to bring another form of identification?
Yeah, if you can bring another form of identification would be good. But we are, on the honor system too. So if you truly have nothing as a form of ID, then we'll still accept that.
That was what we got today.
Okay. Right now, I did have a question too this morning, just thinking from what I've gotten for phone calls, because when you do call that public health hotline, you can talk to a nurse. Might not get to right away because it's me and I'm busy answering a lot of phone calls. But I will call you back if you leave a message. But one of the questions I got was, if you're homebound, can we come to the home to give it? Right now we cannot, because of the way our vials come. They come in doses of 10. Once they're drawn up in the syringe, they're only good for an hour. Once we tap into the vial, it's only good for 6 hours. So the logistics behind our planning is very strategic. We have to make sure we're not wasting any doses. So that's the reasoning behind that. Hopefully if things progress and maybe they can do a single dose vial, we can make that more available to people who can't leave their home.
Would you give that number again, please?
295-4450.
Dan put it up on the board.
Oh, so I think we need to clarify that this is the number you call, I'm gonna do this. This is the number you call to hear when the clinics are and how to sign up. This is not the number you call when you're actually making your appointment. That's the 9111. Don't be calling 911 by mistake or they're gonna be super mad at you. So 395-9111, and that number isn't available all the time. It's only available these limited hours. And so the first, like Lindsay said, Thursday, which is tomorrow at 10 o'clock, it's gonna open. And there's not a million lines, right, Lindsay?
There are 6 phone lines, but when we're taking your information, we have to get your phone number, we have to get your address, and answer questions you might have, so understand that you might have to call back.
There was a question, these folks don't have an Iowa driver's license. Is that a problem?
No, right now we are not limiting based on location. So as long as you can show your age, that's fine.
How fun to winter in Iowa. You must have chose this for the wonderful weather.
First time
Yeah.
in 24 years.
How fun.
Cheryl, but
Yep, so our location is gonna be at the old Harley shop down by Fairway or across from John Deere. Yeah,
probably right next to where the public library is
yes,
now.
yep, it's on just the other side, there's kind of a hallway that separates the buildings. Yep. Yes, you'll walk in.
So do we call that 295 number first?
No, you don't have to. That number is just gonna be updated periodically as we move through the tiers or if there's any changes that we need to make, just so that way people can stay informed. So it's kind of a hotline
So the 395 is what we call then?
to make your appointment. Yeah,
So you might say, why is it important to know that hotline number? Well, let's say you call, but you don't get in for these first 2 clinics, which is something you may want to prepare yourselves for, okay? Because there's only so many spots, right? So after these first 2 clinics, you can call that hotline and find out when the next clinics are. So that's one of those places you can go and call, and that information's right there on that hotline. So that way you don't you can call anytime. If you think of it at 7 o'clock at night, you can call that number at 7 o'clock at night. You don't have to wait for public health to answer that phone and tell you. So that's why it's good to have both phone numbers.
Yeah.
Office is gonna do for me, they're
Huh?
gonna make me appointment for the office people.
Okay?
So, you know, for that number.
after you get your vaccine, we do ask everybody to wait for 15 minutes so we can monitor for any adverse reactions or side effects. And there'll be a waiting area there. We ask everybody to wear their masks. Everybody will be spaced 6 feet apart.
Do you know how many doses are going to be available?
I don't know the exact amount that we're starting with, but we do have a limited supply, so once we reach capacity, we'll be shutting off until we get a new allotment. And the state right now is getting a limited allotment too, so we're have to go off of what they give us. They're hoping as the weeks progress, that's gonna increase, but we never know until the week before.
We will give out absolutely everything that we can. We won't hold anything back, it will be distributed. You wanna touch on that? There are very, very few people who should not get this vaccine. If you get a first vaccine and have an anaphylactic reaction to it, meaning your throat swells, your lips swell, you can't breathe, you should not get a second vaccine. If you currently have COVID and you are within the your 10-day isolation period, or your symptoms aren't improved yet, you should not leave your house and go get a COVID vaccine. If you were treated with remdesivir or plasma, or the BAM treatment, which is the antibody treatment, you don't qualify to get your COVID vaccine yet. So you want to be healthy to get the vaccine. But in regards to, people who have asked about an egg allergy or things like that, no, you can get this vaccine, and we really are encouraging anybody who qualifies should get one.
If we've never been tested, how do we know?
Never been tested for,
COVID.
then you get it. Yes. If you are currently not having symptoms, then you should get it. Yep. Even people who have had COVID in the past, we still are encouraging to get the vaccine because we don't know how long natural immunity from having the disease, we don't know how long that lasts. We don't know how long immunity from the vaccine is going to last. This is all so new to us that time will tell. But we're encouraging everybody who, like I said, hasn't had an anaphylactic reaction or currently doesn't have COVID or has received those treatments that I just talked about, and you qualify for a dose. Yes.
If you have a heart attack, will this do any damage?
No, you especially want to have this because people with heart issues are at a higher risk of having complications from COVID, so we especially want to protect you.
What about Parkinson's?
Nope, again, you should still get it. Now, potential side effects, just to talk with you briefly about that. A sore arm is the most common side effect, just like with any shot that people get. Expect to have a sore arm from it. Also, it is not uncommon to feel kind of crummy the day of or the day after that you get this vaccine. And that might mean chills, body aches. I got it after my first dose. I took some Tylenol because I didn't really want to deal with it that day because I was on call. I felt better an hour later. Sometimes, people are spiking a fever. That's not unheard of. Those are actually good signs that your body is mounting the immune response that we want it to have. That should not alarm you after you receive this. And in general, it is very short-lived, 12 to 24 hours, and it is much, much better than getting COVID.
Can I read you a question someone asked? My husband is having cataract surgery soon. Can he have a COVID shot near that time?
I don't think that there would be any reason to not get one. They may want to double check with their surgeon, but from our standpoint, there is no reason to not get a vaccine if you are scheduled to undergo a cataract surgery. That's what the question was, is if you could get it if you're scheduled to have cataract surgery.
And I think you touched base on the one was, if you have had COVID, how long does your immunity last?
If you've had COVID in the past, there are no documented cases of people getting it again within 12 weeks. Beyond that, we just really don't know. Your chances are less, but we just don't know. So for that reason, get the vaccine.
If you're taking acetaminophen, do you have to be off of it before taking the shot? If so, how long?
Nope, you don't have to stop your
Repeat the
Tylenol.
question.
The question was, do you need to hold Tylenol ahead of time if you routinely take it? Do you need to hold that before you get your vaccine? And it's okay to take your normal medications before you get your vaccine.
And maybe we are not recommending if you've had a different immunization in the past 2 weeks.
Right, so if you have received any type of shot within the last 2 weeks, like a flu shot or your shingles vaccine or a pneumonia vaccine, you cannot get your COVID shot within 2 weeks. And then you get your COVID shot, you can't get any other type of vaccine for 2 weeks following that. And then also remember, you're gonna get another COVID shot 4 weeks after your first one. So the vaccine that we are giving here locally is the Moderna vaccine, which is 2 doses given 4 weeks apart.
If my husband and wife both need the shot, can one set up a time and place for both? Yes, when you call, they'll just each make you a separate appointment, but one of you can call.
So the question was, if you need to set up an appointment for 2 people, so both you and your spouse, one person can call and set up the appointment for both people when you call that 395-9111 number. You can set it up for two people.
Years ago, I had a reaction to the tetanus shot, so do I need to be more careful?
The question is, years ago, I had a reaction to the tetanus shot. Do I need to be more careful? And quite honestly, nope, they're very different vaccines, and you shouldn't need to worry about that.
If you're a resident of Kossuth County but have received health care from out of Kossuth County on a regular basis, can you still get the vaccine here in Algona?
Yes, the question is, if you are a resident of Kossuth County but you get your health care elsewhere, can you still get your vaccine here? And the answer is yes. Please get your vaccine here. We want to get people vaccinated.
Is a valid out-of-state driver's license okay for ID?
Yes, the question is about what kind of identification you can bring in. Will an out-of-state driver's license work? Yes, that will work.
The last one just says I was told not to get it. So that's empty.
The last one was more of a statement, and it said, I was told not to get it. You will hear lots of opinions regarding the COVID vaccine. And it's very important that you seek good medical advice. Don't believe everything that you read on the internet. I will be the first to say that there are side effects. Anything that we do, there are side effects. I expect to not feel great after my second shot today, and that's just the way it is. But it's much, much better than getting COVID. The efficacy of this vaccine is better than we ever could have hoped for. It is 95% effective. Our flu shot, we hope for about 50% effectiveness. So this is huge. And I strongly feel that it's our way of getting out of having to wear these everywhere we go. So
If you're allergic to sulfa, can you get the vaccine?
yes, the question is, if you are allergic to sulfa, can you get the vaccine? And the answer is yes.
Clarify the channels on AMU that this forum will be on for rebroadcast.
The question is what channel on AMU, and I believe the channel is channel 4.
And for those of you who are Facebook people, anybody a Facebooker out there? Okay, a few. If you do, this is also being recorded on the hospital's Kossuth Regional Health Center's Facebook page. And so if it's not something that you do, but you know others who do go on there and find things, it will be a live video on there that you can see anytime.
And I think it's also on the Senior Center's Facebook page live as well.
Yes.
So dynamic TV is at 9:19 or 4:19? 9:19.
9:18.
Boy, that's a great question.
Because you know we're going to dynamic all the way now.
Where's Bob Jennings when you need it? He's good into that question.
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that
Yeah,
question.
I don't have any.
I live in the country.
Yeah.
So people don't understand it.
I understand, I've had dynamic for a year and a half, but the channels don't coincide at all number-wise.
Sure. You know, that's a question we're afraid we can't answer. You might have to click around for that one, click through until you find it, or if AMU might be able to
I'll
answer.
just call AMU.
Thank you.
About that.
I have dynamic and I usually get it on
9:18.
9:18.
And 9:19, yeah.
Our weather station.
20 is the weather station, 9:20.
So there is some confusion, so call AMU.
So we're having a little trouble reading someone. Not saying it's the handwriting, but maybe a little bit. May I bring my, we're not sure what. So if anybody knows more, help us on this one. We'll give that back to Dan. Maybe you can sort it out a little bit for us. Sorry about that. The glasses will help. That'll be good.
It might be a
this
doctor's
is
writing.
easy.
That's why I thought you should decipher it.
Is there a former doctor in the house writing notes?
Now, is this shot gonna be like the flu shots or anything like that? You have to get it every year?
Time will tell. No, no yet.
Can you donate blood in between the shots or not, or?
So there's been a little bit, do you know about that? I have asked questions about that. So LifeServe Blood Center, according to them, if you're getting the Moderna shot, you can come and give blood without any wait times. Some other places where you donate blood request a 2-week wait before you do. So just make sure if you're going to give blood, make sure you tell them, because things do change, daily sometimes. But when I went and asked the LifeServe blood people, they said you could give blood the very next day. Okay? But you cannot give convalescent plasma. So if you've had COVID and want to give convalescent plasma, once you get that vaccine, you cannot do that. Okay?
I didn't hear where we were to go to get our shots.
At the old Ernie Williams by John Deere.
Okay,
The library is out there now, and this is on the other side. The question was where you go to get your vaccine now. Yes.
Okay. And you have this buildup, are you gonna announce it on TV when the next session is that we call in?
So we will announce in a variety of ways. I'm gonna let Joanne.
I'm going to say the 2 places, where can you look for updated information, right? So the hotline that Lindsay's group operates, that's a recorded message, that's the first number, the 295-4450. That number, as soon as there's more dates, that's where those will be added. And it'll say, here's what the call center number times are, so you know when to call, so you're not wasting your time calling that 395 number if no one is answered, right? So the hotline is a good place. Also, if you are able to go on the hospital's website, and the website is www.krhc.com. When you go to that website, at the very top of the page, there's a green button that says COVID-19 info. If you click that, it takes you right to where all the vaccine information is at. And so that's where we put things like the call center number is there if you forget it, where to go, a few other questions. When the call center is going to be open is also listed on there, as well as a couple other things about our visitor restrictions at the hospital, things we're doing out at the hospital to be safe. So all of that stuff is on the website. But if you're not a website person and you just want to call, that hotline is there for that reason.
give the website again.
The website again is www.krhc.com. C-O-M. And then you'll see that green button right at the top of the page. Click on that and it'll take you right to it. Okay? Questions about that? And that's where, because here's what happens a lot, and Lindsay can confirm. We'll get a lot of information together, and we'll get it off to the newspaper, we'll get it off to the radio, and then a few hours later, a bunch of things will change. It's been really fun, hasn't it, Lindsay? Yeah.
And Irene Kramer's got it.
Sure, so just be aware that that's where you can always look for the most updated, yes.
I didn't catch the www, but the last.
The last
K-R.
K-R, just like Kossuth Regional Health Center, it's K-R-H-C, and then a dot, and then com, C-O-M. Other questions about that, or you feel good about that?
Marilyn?
Will this be the only place that they give vaccination? The only place in
The only place in town. For right now, this will be the only place in town that will be giving them. And part of that has to do with how they come. We don't want to waste any of them. And when they come 10 in a vial, it just makes it a little bit harder to, we don't want to give out 5 at the clinic and then at the end of the day have to throw out 5, if that makes sense. And so that's why all of this is very structured so that we use absolutely everything that we can.
Don't throw anything away. Call me, I'll come right away.
We've been very successful about using every dose that we've given so far.
Wonderful.
Do you know when the general public is gonna get it?
Well, there are different tiers, and this is,
Repeat the question.
the question is, when will the general public be able to receive it? So we are in tier 1 right now, and that includes the first responders, firefighters, and then also our school staff. And then the next tier moves on to workers in food, agriculture, distribution, and manufacturing who cannot social distance at their job. And then also individuals with disabilities who live in home settings and their direct care staff. Tier 3 is staff and individuals living in congregate settings, not college dorms. And then also in that tier is government officials. Tier 4 is inspectors, and then tier 5 is correction facility staff, and then the general public will be after that. And all of this was done
So about 2 months away.
to try to make sure that our society can move on, keep our kids in school, keep our food supply protected, keep our law enforcement operational, those things. So I don't know for certain when the general public will be able to get it, but like I said, we will give out absolutely every dose that we can as soon as we possibly can. It won't be delayed. We won't hold on to doses. Yes.
What about the ministers?
They already included them in phase 1.
So they can get it out
They
anytime.
can still get it.
So ministers were included in our phase 1A as part of our healthcare because we know that they come in and out of hospitals and nursing homes frequently. And so at any time, if you qualify for the phase that's already happened, you can get it. So people over 65 now can get it at any time, but ministers can get it at any point now. Yes.
So you're in line to get your shot, and it gets cut off right in front of you. Will you have to re-register to get into the next date of vaccinations?
Meaning in line on the phone?
No, I mean, let's say I'm here, and they run out of shots
So
right in front of me.
how our process works is you won't be in line for a shot. You will schedule an appointment by calling this number, and only people who have appointments for shots will show up, will be given shots that day. So people who don't have an appointment will not get a shot.
Okay,
So,
so you're
But if
only
you
gonna
do,
give
you-
out appointments for the shots that you have available.
Correct.
And there's not gonna be,
And hope everybody shows up.
correct. And
If you don't, you will be frowned
I'll
upon
be-
greatly.
and maybe even, I
Do you
guess
have
if we
any-
have a,
1 or 2 extra people as backup?
Yeah, we have that. We have had to use a backup list, and we do fill up all the slots.
yes, so if people don't show up, the question is, what if people don't show up for their vaccine? And Lindsay just said, if people don't show up, because like we have said, we want to use up all of the vaccine, we have a backup list that then we call those people and say, hey, come right now, because we want to use our doses.
Can we be on a backup list?
Well, right now, we don't have any doses extra to give.
Sure.
But
No, right now, we don't have a list, like, going, it's just usually that day. We know, like, what the next group is, and we try to fit that in.
So they would what they probably would do, so there's like a Wednesday and a Saturday group, they would probably call
People on Saturday.
the Saturday people to come and then fill those
Because
slots.
we don't want to give the impression that we have a waiting list all the time, because there isn't
Correct.
really anything like that
No.
happening. And so your best bet is to call and get that appointment in, and if you're on that list to get an appointment, then you're probably naturally would be called to come in sooner, right? But there is no call and put your name on a waiting list type of a thing happening right now.
Like a friend of mine said, I asked him, are you gonna get a shot? And he says, I'm getting one in both arms and one in the butt.
Got a question back there?
What if you're a caregiver to someone who's in A1?
The question is if you are a caregiver for someone in 10A1.
That falls in tier 2.
That falls into tier 2, which is individuals living in home settings and their direct care staff. So what we are in right now is tier 1, so they'll be in the next tier. Yes.
My staff called in, they're gonna take care of it to get me signed up.
At Good Sam?
No, we're good times anymore.
Gotcha.
Question here.
Will we all be able to get called in on this number tomorrow to make the appointment?
You know what would be really fun is if everybody calls at once. Wait a minute, we all know that's what's gonna happen. So it might take a while, right, for
You
that.
don't call at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm calling at 8.
Well, no, have fun for 2 hours while no one's answering the phone until 10.
Don't call it 8?
Don't call it 8.
Don't call it 8 unless you're just practicing the number down, because
It's 10 to 2 that you call, right?
Yes.
Okay, so.
however, I think Lindsay did say that if all those appointments fill up before 2 o'clock, then there will be a message that says all of these are full. But this is not the only chance. So if you don't get into the February 3rd or 6th clinic, there will be future opportunities. So don't feel concerned, because there will be, as soon as more doses, right? Lindsay, maybe you want to expand on that.
We have to just go off of what we get in our allocation from the Iowa Department of Public Health, so as we know what those numbers are, we can plan for future dates and how long they need to be. Yes.
Did I understand we should be tested for COVID before we have this stuff?
No. Yes.
How often is a new batch coming in?
We get a supply weekly is our hope, and we never know how much it's gonna be until that week, and then the next week they send it.
So 10 a week?
No, we don't know how much our supply is every week. They let us know every week what we're allocated.
Are you thinking 10, Amy? The vaccine comes in packages of 10? Is that what you're getting, 10?
Only
So
10 people can get it every day, or 10 people every
No.
week?
It comes in a vial, and each vial has 10 doses. We don't know how many vials we get.
Okay.
We'll get multiples of 10.
And that just varies based on each county is given their allocation based on their population and how much the state is receiving down from the federal
Is there
government.
an average of how many you've been getting at a time? How many people you've been able to vaccinate a week or a day?
So far, we were able to do 600 of the frontline healthcare workers. Like right now, our allocation last week was 100 doses. So it really depends. Our first shipment was 600 and now it was 100. So we just really never know. Yes.
Bro?
I got a question. Do we have to stand in a line a long time?
No. We request that everybody show up at their scheduled appointment time, and we have a process where there's someone checking you in at registration, there's someone verifying your forms, you get your shot, you go wait. So it's a pretty smooth process. There shouldn't be much waiting. The only thing that, could potentially hold things up is, depending on how many questions a person might have. But we try to keep people moving through as quickly as possible.
Shots are booked every 5 minutes, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that your first? Have you had your first one?
Does the allocation for Kossuth County only come through the hospital?
Right now, it's coming from the Iowa Department of Public Health to our Public Health Department, which is at the hospital.
So there's nothing at Walgreens, Hy-Vee?
Not here. Other, like bigger Hy-Vees, I'm not sure. I know our Iowa Department of Public Health did open up Hy-Vees to get them. Ours, right now, is not getting their own supply because they're not getting a steady shipment in at the state level yet, but hopefully that will be the case as things progress.
A good-looking lady in the back there.
If you have your first shot, do you then get priority when it's time for your second shot over those that might be coming in for their first one?
So we set aside doses or we get a second dose, they call it a boost dose, it's the same thing as your first dose. But we make sure, so that's why when you call, you can book out your second appointment. You can book out your second appointment, and we've been told by the Iowa Department of Public Health that we would get another shipment to match that one where we did the first shots.
If a person would get a first shot and then have something come up the day you were supposed to get the second shot and you didn't get it, what happens if it's 30 days instead of 28?
That does happen. Actually, we just had a question because after your first shot, you know, maybe when you get close to getting your second shot, you end up getting diagnosed with COVID, which could happen. So at that point, we just ask you to wait. If you don't have that situation and you just are off a few days, we just want you to do it as close to the 28 days as possible, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, if it's the next Wednesday or the day we're having a clinic, that's fine.
Thank you. Okay, more questions?
The question is who pays for it, and right now, we are not billing insurance or anything, so it's just coming from the government, we don't take insurance cards.
Well, if there aren't any more questions, God bless all of you. I hope you don't get the COVID, because some of the people I know that have had it suffer immensely.
Again, the Senior Center thanks you for coming out, and if you've enjoyed it, think about becoming a member of the Senior Center.